Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be having a little recap of what just happened a couple days ago back at the night of December 10th where we had that historic tornado outbreak across parts of Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, even into parts of Indiana. So we'll be having a little recap of that and a couple of my thoughts about it. We also got a storm system to watch that'll be moving into the northwest here. Eventually it gets to the plains in the Midwest. Could bring in another, well, I would not say another, but a rare severe weather setup for parts of the Midwest. This will be a rapidly deepening low, maybe bring another winter storm to the backside of it. And then we'll be also talking about a little bit beyond that. What's it looking like towards mid to late December and what the models are suggesting. So we're going to get started talking about the severe weather of what just happened with the tornado outbreak that we had not long ago. Which I'm sure everybody's heard of this already, but I kind of wanted to express my thoughts here and some honorable mentions here about this. And you can see here, these are the reports so far. So far, these are not. I guarantee there's going to be a lot more reports coming in. But there is two different swaths of storms here. You got one that kind of started in parts of central Missouri, and that kind of moved to the northeast into central Illinois, eventually moving to Indiana, and it calmed down when it got to western Ohio. But the main round, the biggest one, was the storms that started down in northeastern Arkansas, moving to the foothill of southeastern Missouri, then northwestern Arkansas, and then it got to southwestern Kentucky. Those are the storms that we'll be kind of talking about here. And one Pacific one in particular is that we have one supercell that began in Little Rock here and eventually then again move over some of those areas I mentioned. Eventually got up to central and northern Kentucky. So I want to show you guys a little video of radar recap here. Give a shout out to Forecast Lab for this video here. I'll put the link in the description down below if you guys want to kind of see it on here. But this has the potential to become historic. And you can see here, these storms here kind of started in around Little Rock here. It took some time here for it to become a little bit more tornadic here. 4:58, that's when we hit sunset, so now it's dark. And you can see how it continues to move on to the northeast. And one thing right here, you start to see this little hook echo right here. So now this is becoming a little bit more of a classic supercell here. This is just off to the south of Bald Knob of Arkansas here. And then again, you had that little hook echo. And then Little Rock is issued observed tornado warning. And then again, that's a radar observed tornado warning. That could be your debris ball there. I'm not completely sure. It could be a different storm cell in there. You can see it hits Tupelo, Arkansas. Yeah, then we start to see stronger wind shear from a radar at around that point. There's Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is probably when I believe it's when we started the stream here. It's when it got by Jonesboro. You can see how it continues to move on to the northeast. There's your tornado. Your tornado will be right in this region, right in here. Got your hook echo. Definitely rain wrap. So this is a very dangerous tornado to chase here. When it's rain wrap, you got a lot of trees and it's dark. I mean, that's just three bad combinations there for storm chasing. It makes it very difficult. The tornado reported by law enforcement. And unfortunately, this is what hardest hits towns by this tornado, and that's down in Monette. And eventually, it starts to enter up to Missouri, which is up here. Tennessee is over here at around that point. And unfortunately, Monette got hit very hard, and it hit Leachfield. There's Hornersville. And unfortunately, that's our first fatality. At least so far, there could be more fatalities out there. Yeah, this is where we really started to get focused here on the stream here. Well-defined supercell here. Got debris ball. Unfortunately, it's coming very close to Converseville. Sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly. And you can see there, it's just a very impressive supercell. Then it slams into Tippman and Sandburg. Tornado hits Sandburg, Tennessee fire station, takes a direct hit. Police people trapped in that fire station. And here comes Kentucky up here. Hits Woodwind Mills, Tennessee. And you got Casey, Kentucky got hit hard. And then the hardest city is Mayfield. Uh, this is where tornado really starts to gain some strength here. Now, I kind of want to go back a little bit here at around this point here. There is a point right around here. If you kind of go back onto the my live stream, I know I've shown velocity on there multiple times before, but around this point here, it looked like it had two different circulations with this storm here, and this is where it might have lifted. Might have. So far, we haven't heard any reports, at least on the ground survey, that this has been one continuous strike. They haven't found any spots of where it might have lifted, but this could be your possible area here where it might have lifted. Now, if this is the case here, if it did lift here, then this may not have been the quad state tornado. It may not be made to quad state tornado. You may be able to say it as a secondary tri-state tornado, but it may not have been a quad state tornado if it lifted up at around this time here. This is going to take a few days here to really figure out the track here and kind of everything else here. So that's where it might have lifted, and I'm saying might have. And eventually, it really gains some strength here. Either this is a different tornado or the same one. You can see you got a well-defined debris ball right there, and this is where this tornado is likely at its strongest here. For that continues on for many miles here. You can see here how the debris ball just continues here. And then this is a very terrifying image here. Definitely gives me vibes here of the Moore, Oklahoma tornado back in 2013. That was the last EF5 tornado in history. This tornado here could challenge that. This could turn out to be an EF5 tornado. Then again, it's going to take several days here to get the damage surveys done. And unfortunately, Mayfield takes a direct hit. And I believe it flattened a candle factory, and unfortunately, at least 110 people in there were trapped. And unfortunately, not many people make it. At least 50 fatalities were reported in Mayfield. So Mayfield was really the hardest city here out of any other city. Unfortunately, it comes closer to Benton, Kentucky. You can see there how it just continues and just continues. Here's Princeton, Kentucky. Here's Dawson Springs. We've seen really bad images out of Dawson Springs. And this is probably one of I might have ended the stream here, which honestly I should not have ended the stream there. But I should have continued it, which I apologize for that, honestly. I should have continued the live stream. I really should have. But then the tornado just still continues on here. Here's Brenneman. Unfortunately, that takes a direct hit. Here's Beaver Dam, Hartford, and Centertown. Tornado continues to move on to the northeast. And the tornado at this point here is a little weaker here. And it looks like your tornado at this point is right here. And this is when the tornado will start to dissipate. Here's Elizabethtown right here that luckily I missed it to the north because I know I've been to Elizabethtown many times before. It's a large city. And then the tornado probably dissipated to the south of Hardinsburg. However, as it continues on to the northeast, no more tornado warnings were issued. However, when it gets up to closer to Taylorsville, Kentucky here, this is south of Louisville, it started to show more signs of rotation here again, and it's also started to form another hook echo. This is when it started to produce a weaker tornado. You can see a well-defined hook echo, and this is much weaker here. And then again, that's much weaker. And by the course coefficient product here, looked like we did have a brief tornado off to the west of Taylorsville, and then we had a couple more tornado warnings afterwards. and then again, the storm becomes more disorganized and it continues up into parts of central Kentucky. At that point, I remember looking outside and I was right here as the storm passes to my north. I mean, continuous lightning from the storm here, which is pretty insane here. So it's still a very impressive storm there, even though it was more disorganized. It was still producing a lot of lightning, which still indicated it was still a very strong storm. And then later that night, the same storm that hit Bowling Green, Kentucky, which unfortunately it did a significant amount of damage down there. It came up into my area. I was in my first tornado warning in many years, and I was on the far northern end of it. And also, I did have some confidence it was going to miss me to the south, but I was watching that northern end of the storm. It had three different circulations. Now, as I do know of at this point here, my own county did not have any reported damage. However, the county below me, nearby Danville, Kentucky, might have had two tornadoes down there in Boyle County. One of those tornadoes hit an airport, which completely destroyed the hangars and also significantly damaged several small aircrafts as well. So certainly, it was a very nerve-wracking night here as well. And then again here, here's your tornado reports. Here's your storm reports again from that date here. So far, tornado reports are up to 58, and those reports will likely go up. 366 wind reports and also 24 hail reports as well. You have to definitely give a lot of credit here to the Storm Prediction Center and the National Reserve offices. They've done a really good job out of this event. The Storm Prediction Center issued many small mesoscale discussions here of these two supercells down here, and even a couple up here with some of the storms up there as well, tracking those storms as well. There was a lot of warning time as well. So, yeah, certainly a good job to them folks there as well. I'm probably going to post at least one of the GoFundMe pages here in the link in the description down below if you want to help some of the victims that were affected by the tornado as well. Then again, I'll put in the link description down below if you guys want to donate any money to help these families out here as well. So we got that day out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about the future here. Now, good news here for the weather for the lower Ohio Valley region. We're not really expecting a whole lot of rain. It will at least be mild, so it'll be pretty good weather for cleanup and also search and rescue. This is the next system we're watching here. This will be moving into the Rockies here, bringing in plenty of Mount Snow in the Rockies. And this will be another rapidly intensification low here. Could be a bottom cyclone. We'll see. You can certainly see there 978 millibar low in southern Minnesota. And it could bring in some severe weather, especially across parts of Iowa. Could bring some severe weather. It's going to be one of those situations will be a high wind shear and low instability environment as well. Could see some snow on the backside there. Maybe some blizzard conditions on the backside of the low as well. And here's your trailing front here. Moving across the Ohio Valley. That's when it's going to be our next rain chance. And then by Saturday morning of next weekend, a low pressure system develops in the Ohio Valley. Could be some snow on the colder side of the low. And it could be a decent amount of rain out here as well. Could be the potential there for some flooding as well. With those training showers and thunderstorms. And as we kind of head towards the 10-day period, it could certainly get very interesting here. You see here a low moves across parts of the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley, possibly some snow on the backside of that low as well. And then at least 10 days out here, things will likely change there from the GFS model as well. Let's check out the European model here, and very similar from the GFS model here, rapid intensification low. Moves across the central plains in the upper Midwest. Could be a blizzard on the backside. Could be some severe weather in the warm sector. Cold front moves into parts of the Ohio Valley. At least we're not expecting any severe weather out of this side up here, which is some good news there. We do not want severe weather for a while. And it looks like the front may try to stall out there for that new low that'll develop along the front. Could be some snow on the back side of that low. And then towards the 10-day period here, the European model shows a pretty impressive storm there for in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, which we'll talk about the long range here in just a moment. Let's get a little bit more detail with that severe weather setup that'll be happening later this week. So, worry about Tuesday here, your low pressure system moves across the Rockies and eventually into Wednesday here. This is when you will see that severe weather setup here. So your low pressure systems in northern Nebraska. This will be moving to parts of eastern South Dakota and eventually up to central Minnesota. We'll have a very strong low jet. If we look to 850 millibars, there'll be a very strong low jet, probably stronger than the event that we had back on December 10th. But there's not a whole lot of instability to work with. If we do check that out, there is not a whole lot of instability to work with. Now, one thing I do see lacking a little bit is dew point values. If we check out some of those dew point numbers, it is lacking a little bit. And actually, just by looking at this model here from the European model, it's actually showing a pretty good setup for severe weather, especially across Iowa, Missouri, parts of Kansas as well. So this could be a pretty good severe weather setup. It'll be very windy as well. If you check out here on the just across central Nebraska here, it's got wind gusts close to 80 miles an hour. And if we look to the GFS model here, look at the warm sector. Wind gusts out south, 70 miles an hour. That could be overdone there, but it would not really surprise me if we see very strong wind gusts out of the south here, probably 60 miles an hour at max, just given by of how strong this low pressure system is going to be. Then check out the dew points here. Now, the GFS is not as aggressive here, but does show some upper 50s, maybe around 60 dew points here. And this is a very rare setup here, especially for Wisconsin, Iowa, and northern Illinois. This is something you don't see in December. I mean, a dew point of 60 in Wisconsin in December is probably never even heard of. And I'm saying possibly at that point. I'm just going to say possibly for now. But even upper 50 dew points, you can still see it's still favorable for strong storms. If you do check out the Cape numbers here, it is some pretty elevated Cape numbers here. So this could turn out to be a pretty good severe weather setup for the Midwest here. But we have to see here what the higher resolution models show. It will also not surprise me if we see a marginal dislike risk on day 3 for this setup here. But it'll be very interesting to watch. It certainly will be a very interesting setup here to watch. But dew points here seems to be your limiting factor there for that setup there. Now dew point numbers Cape numbers I should say, even though they'll be below 1,000, you still got a lot of wind shear. So it's not going to take much in the way of Cape numbers to get significant severe weather. Keep in mind that. If you remember back at December 10th, we only had Cape numbers of for right around Bowling Green, up into parts of Central Kentucky. Cape numbers were only were below 1,000, and we still had strong tornadoes out there. So then again, you don't really need much way of Cape numbers to get some severe weather, but it'll certainly be a very interesting setup there as well. So certainly across the Central Plains and the Upper Midwest, we'll need to watch that system as well. That's going to be the next big system to watch. Okay, let's talk about the longer range. The next 7 days here is going to be very warm across the central and eastern United States. Well above normal temperatures are likely for most of us here. Widespread 20 to 30 degrees above normal seems like a good bet. Now, days 8 through 14, things start to cool down a tad bit. We got troughing across the western United States that kind of expands into the central U.S. Now, this is where things get interesting. This is around the holiday time period, December 26th to January 2nd. Now, I will warn you that the CFS doesn't have a whole lot of skill on days 15 through 21. It does have some decent skill for days 8 through 14, but not really so much for days 15 through 21. But if the CFS model is correct here, this could be a pretty good setup here for some winter weather here, especially across parts of the north. But it's also a decent setup for severe weather, unfortunately. So hopefully things turn a little bit colder here. If I show you guys the precip anomalies here, it's not very impressed here with the precipitation anomalies here, but I still would figure here we'll probably see a more widespread above normal precipitation anomalies here. It does have the little bullseye in the Kentucky, Tennessee vicinity, but it also does have above normal precipitation anomalies across the northwest. Now, if we kind of backtrack a little bit to days 8 through 14 here, you do see there is a large area of above normal precipitation anomalies, which is not a really good look here. You could see some severe weather setups with that. And then again here, you got a strong ridge across the eastern U.S., troughing across the west. Favorable pattern for severe weather. If you check out for MSOP anomalies, there could be some lows that could roll across some of these areas in here. It's certainly a little hard to tell here where the main track here, if the lows could be, but you probably see lows. They'll track across the plains and probably into the upper Midwest as well, especially if a big ridge across the east. But it could certainly lead to another active period of weather, and some of that could be severe weather. So that's something we need to watch for as well for days 8 through 14. If we do check out temperatures here, you can see well above normal temperature seems likely for most of the eastern U.S. here. So certainly a pattern we need to keep an eye on is days 8 through 14 towards the holidays. There could be more severe weather, could be more winter weather. We're just going to have to see. Now, if we check out the current predictor outlook here, most of the warmer air looks to stay across parts of the south and east. Below average temperature seems a good bet for the western U.S. If you check out precipitation anomalies here, you do notice here there is a chance for above normal precipitation from parts of Texas, all the way up into parts of the Ohio Valley, southeast, even up into parts of the northeast. There's another area of slightly above normal precipitation anomalies for parts of the west coast. And there's a little area of below normal precipitation chances for parts of the Dakotas, Nebraska, Montana, and also Wyoming as well. Days 8 through 14. The warm air does expand a little bit further back to the west here. However, there is, at the same time though, cold air does expand a little bit more to across parts of the northern plains at around that point. This could be a favorable setup for some severe weather here. If we do check out the precipitation anomalies here, it does show that similar solution there. It has that little area of above normal precipitation anomalies around the Kentucky and Tennessee vicinity. So another active pattern could be on the way here for the eastern U.S. here for days 8 through 14, just by looking at these forecasts here. And unfortunately, more severe weather could be on the way here as well. Last thing I want to check out is the teleconnections here. And if we do check this out here, the NAO looks to be expected to be getting a little bit stronger with the positive NAO. That's what's going to lead to the very warm temperatures across the east. However, there is some good news though. It does turn a little bit more negative here as we kind of get towards the holidays or around Christmas time as well. And that'd be pretty good time there. Now, it could change. There is a couple of members that kind of get around the neutral state. But it is a possibility we could see that. But the PNA, though, it's also looking to stay negative here, probably throughout into the holidays as well. So that could lead to some troughing across the west as well. But one big uncertainty, though, is the AO. There's a pretty large spread here with the models here, so we're not really going to know what the models are suggested by the AO probably over the next couple of days here. But the pattern I'm kind of seeing here, though, we may see ups and downs here for the eastern U.S. We'll probably see big warm-ups, and there'll probably be some cool downs as well. So lots of ups and downs here, especially with that negative NAO that could go on. We could certainly see some ups and downs for the eastern U.S. here. But we'll have to wait and see what the AO will suggest. Right now, there is some uncertainty here of what the pattern could look like towards mid to late December. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you've got some questions about this, leave the comment section down below. I heard you guys questions, and I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.